Hi, and welcome to Quirky Books with Katie. Today I'm going to be talking about popular books that are not worth their hype. So I did a video about this subject about a year ago and it received a lot of good feedback and I loved making it, so this is going to be part 2. So this video is just going to be about books that everyone else liked and I did not. So if I manage to somehow offend you, I don't mean to do that in this video. These are just books that I did not like. I will explain why I did not like them. So I'm going to get started. The first book that I'm going to be talking about is Alienated by Melissa Landers. And this book is about a futuristic society where aliens come to Earth and they kind of have an exchange program of sorts. Had high expectations for this book. It was one of my most anticipated books of the year. And I just really did not like it. I don't know, I just felt that the book was just not very good. I was not a huge fan of the writing. There was just so much insta-love too. The main characters meet, they don't like each other, and then magically they're making out. Oh my goodness, one of my biggest pet peeves in books. So I was not a big fan of that book. Next, we have Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. You've probably all heard of this book. This book is about a boy who discovers an island with some different characters. It's the book that has the pictures in it. I just felt like this book was very dense. I had a very hard time kind of getting into it, and the only reason that I finished this book is because I had to read it for a read-along. Otherwise, I probably would not have finished it. The only thing I really liked about this book was the pictures. Next is The Winner's Curse by Marie Rutkusky, and this is a dystopian book about a rich girl named Kestrel, and she purchases a slave named Aaron from the local slave auction, and stuff happens. They end up falling in love, rebellion. This was basically just your typical dystopian, which I read a lot of dystopian. It's one of my favorite genres, so it does take a lot to impress me. I really did not like the main character. I felt like she was just the typical heroine in a YA dystopian. She loves her society. Something happens, usually meeting a boy. She realizes, oh, her society is all wrong, and then she leads a rebellion, and I did not like that at all. I didn't like the love interest. I didn't even like their romance. I was reading this book on a day in school where I had nothing else to do, so I read it really fast. Otherwise, it was not very good. However, my favorite thing about the book was the ending, even though it was a cliffhanger. And if I was attached to the book in any way, shape, or form, I probably would have cried at the ending, but I just kind of sat there and was like, yay, it's over. Next, we have These Broken Stars by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This is a sci-fi book about a spaceship that crashes, and there are two main characters. The first main character is Lilac, and she is a rich girl, and the other main character is a boy named Tarver, and he is in the military. Had very high expectations for this book as well. This was one of my most anticipated books of the last year. Did not like it. I just felt like I often have a hard time getting into fantasy. That's just something, that's my own issue, but I was just not very engrossed in the plot. I didn't like the romance. Again, the main characters hate each other for a significant portion of the book, and then they realize that they've been in love the entire time. And I just felt like, for me, all of the scientific elements of the book were not very well explained, and it was very hard for me to understand. I still don't understand why this book got so much hype, although I will say it does have a gorgeous cover. Next is The Murder Complex by Lindsay Cummings. I was actually sent an advance copy of this book back in April, and I was really excited for it. However, you can tell by the title of this video, I was not a fan. And this book is about a futuristic society where the murder rate is higher than the birth rate. There are two main characters. The first main character is a girl named Meadow, and she has been kind of training to take down the government, I guess. And the other main character is a boy named Zephyr, and he is an orphan. I hated both of these main characters. I felt like they were extremely underdeveloped, and I did not have an attachment to any of them. I did not have an attachment to the world or the characters, And again, I felt like this relationship, not only was it insta-love, but I felt like the guy was a little too obsessed with the girl, and it was just not a good dystopian, in my opinion. I mean, I love Lindsay Cummings, the author. She is such an amazing person. I was just not a fan of her book. Next is yet another dystopian branded by Abby Kettner and Missy Kalikicki, and I actually read this book for a read-along, and this is about a society where you are branded based on the 7 deadly sins, and if you commit one of these sins, you are thrown into a pit. And I did not like this book. Again, I really had to force myself to finish it. I didn't like the main character. I didn't like the love interest. I didn't like the society. I felt like you didn't really understand why the society was the way it is. In dystopians, I really like seeing the explanation, what happened to this society to make it the way it is. And in this book, you didn't really know. The love interest was very underdeveloped. He was kind of just there, and again, they just started making out in the middle of the book, and I just could not care less about what happened in the rest of the series. Last but not least is the book that is probably going to give me the most heck, and that is Obsidian by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So I read this book about a year ago, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 because I liked it. Went back and had to adjust my rating to a 3 out of 5. Now, this book is about a girl named Katie, and she's a book blogger, and she meets this new family next door, and she finds out that they are aliens. This, for me, was kind of just a glorified version of Twilight, to be honest. The main character was very annoying, the love interest was a bit of an asshole, and I didn't mind this series. I just do not understand why it's on so many people's, oh, this is my favorite book list. And I feel like the series just gets worse as it gets on. I read up to the 4th book and I really didn't like it. I don't even know if I'm going to finish this series. And the biggest problem I had with this book is the writing. I have read a few other of Jennifer L. Armentrout's books, and I always have a problem with the writing. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like the sentences are very choppy and short, and it's just not well written, and it really just ends up rubbing me the wrong way. So if you agree with me on any of these books, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what books you like that other people don't like. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you again soon.